Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Fitzmontegue Mysteries. We're here as we left them, just as Marrisa is about to tell them the tale of what happened in their youth, how she met Emerson's parents and what she knows. So if you haven't before, go and watch the other episodes and see if you can find all the clues as to the deaths, the murders of Emerson's parents. Oh, and like and subscribe, that would be awesome of you. Anyway, here is the story as Marrisa tells them of how she met her best friend, Olivia, and how they met their respective husbands, and what happened after. As a teen, Marrisa had some lofty dreams. She wanted to be a comedian, a singer, a musician, anything to get her out of Simdelay. She wasn't very good, but she tried. She really tried. At the time it was just her and her brother Jared in the huge house. Although, as big as it wasn't as big back then. Marissa's best friend was Olivia, who lived over at Fitzmontegue Hall with her parents, Alice and Alexander, and her sister, Annette. Marrisa and Olivia had only met a few years ago, but they'd become firm friends quickly, in spite of their strange families. One day Marrisa went over to the hall after school, but it started raining so badly that Sister Annette offered to take her home. Blimey, Alice, you look good. Marrisa agreed and took Annette back to Simdelay. This she's always seen as her very first big mistake. Because this is when she first met Jared. Annette started hanging around the house more and more, so Marrisa started hanging around the pub. And that's where she first met Ryan Rivers.
Wetzel!
They got on very well, and they started dating very soon. And so Marrisa decided to introduce him to her friends. So Marrisa invited Olivia and Ryan out to the local nightclub and, Vlad was there, let's ignore that. And they all got on really well. Some of them very well. And this is where they met Jeff, who right from the beginning could not keep his eyes off of Olivia. Olivia and Jeff hit it off. Even though Olivia still seemed to want to spend a lot of the time with Ryan. And Marrisa just seemed a little oblivious of the whole thing. She still wanted to pursue that dream of singing. Olivia was a good friend, and she did see that Ryan was with Marrisa, so she turned her mind to Jeff. And even though some people disapproved, they became a couple. And then they took their relationship to the next level quite quickly. Which certainly took Marissa's life to the next level. Oh dear. She told Jared that he was not happy with her. So Marrisa went to the old cottage to find Ryan to tell him everything. But when she got there, she found Ryan and Olivia together. And Marrisa just left, not knowing what to say. But Ryan came after her, and she told him about the baby, and he was happy. He said that he loved her and he wanted to be with Marrisa and Marrisa only. So they decided they'd run away together to the city and start a new life away from everyone else. And the two of them married. Jared cut ties completely with Marrisa, but she didn't care. She had Ryan and she had a baby on the way. And they lived happily for a little while. And Marrisa chose never to tell anyone what she'd seen that day between Ryan and Olivia. She just wanted to let it all go and live her new life. Marrisa went back to the hall to speak with Olivia and make sure they were still friends, and she found Olivia engaged to Jeff and quite pregnant herself. Marrisa was glad everything was okay between them. However, Alice did not seem happy with having a guest here. She told Marrisa to get out and to never come back. Marrisa could never understand what was wrong with her. And so Marrisa left, but as she did, she noticed Alice disappearing down into a basement she'd never noticed there before. And then Marrisa had the baby. She had Miles. And Ryan was over the moon about it, but Marrisa, she never quite managed to bond with the baby. And then one day, Marrisa just left. She moved far away to the island of Solani and lost contact with everybody. It took a while. She was angry and hurt and angry at herself more than anything else, but slowly Marrisa began to heal, and she heard the odd thing about the others back home. Jeff and Olivia had married, and they had a little girl, and apparently had moved to the city and both become police. Ryan continued to bring Miles up, and apparently was a wonderful father. It was several years until she heard any more news, the sad passing of Jeff and Olivia, and she decided to return to the city. She went to visit Jeff's old partner, Michael Palumbo, to see what he could tell her. He was definitely angry about what had happened, but he didn't have anything else to tell her. But he suspected foul play. Something had happened to them. This is the story Marrisa tells them. That's the last thing she knows. But, as a passing comment, she happens to let slip the place the detective moved to. He lives in Moonwood Mill now. Emerson leaves Miles and Marrisa to get more acquainted, with the name of the detective and where he lives ringing in her ears.